Amazon has announced that it's raising its minimum wage to $15 an hour in the US, and it's also raising its wages in the UK. Now, before I get to the details on this, I first want to show you a video of when this was announced to Amazon employees.
So effective November 1st, we are also establishing a new Amazon minimum wage of $15 an hour.
All right, so I think I've watched that clip about a dozen times, and every time, I have to be honest, I kind of tear up. It's just, it's moving to see people that really need this money actually get it. These workers that work their ass off in these Amazon warehouses actually finally get paid a proper wage. Now, let me get to some of the details on this. So this is from an Amazon blog post. Amazon raises minimum wage to $15 an hour for all U.S. employees. New $15 minimum wage is effective beginning this November 1st. New $15 minimum wage includes associates employed by temp agencies. More than 250,000 Amazon employees, as well as more than 100,000 seasonal holiday employees and their families, will benefit from the new higher pay. And another detail worth mentioning here is that if you were already making $15 an hour at Amazon, your wages will also be raised. So, as I've said many times before, whenever the minimum wage gets raised, it also has a trickle-up effect that benefits people that were already making or near that existing or that new minimum wage. So it benefits everyone. Now, let me get to some more details on not only how Amazon is raising these wages, but now what they plan to do about this nationally. So this is from their post. We'll be working to gain congressional support for an increase in the federal minimum wage. The current rate of $7.25 was set nearly a decade ago, said Jay Carney, Senior Vice President of Amazon Global Corporate Affairs. We intend to advocate for a minimum wage increase that will have a profound impact on the lives of tens of millions of people and families across this country. So this is incredible. Now, there are cynics out there, and I'm going to address those cynics at the end of the video. But let's just bask in how incredible this news is. Who expected this? I definitely did not expect this. I thought this was going to be a serious battle till the end, but Amazon has made a move in really before they were actually forced to. So this is great news. Now, let me get to Jeff Bezos, his statement, and maybe what pushed him to do this. Quote, "We listened to our critics, thought hard about what we wanted to do, and decided we want to lead," said Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder and CEO. "We're excited about this change and encourage our competitors and other large employers to join us." So they listened to their critics. Now, who were their critics? So obviously, Amazon workers were a big force in this. So were groups like Fight for 15, which have continued to push for raising the minimum wage. But there is really one person that, especially over the past year, has put a real spotlight on this. And that's, of course, Bernie Sanders. So here's only one example of the many examples that Bernie Sanders has done in the past few months to push for this. Bernie Sanders introduces the Bezos Act, slamming Amazon's low wages. So that was something I covered a few weeks ago on my channel. You can go back and watch that video. But Bernie Sanders, of course, was a huge factor in making this a huge issue nationally. So let me show you his reaction to this amazing news.
It is no secret that I have been a harsh critic of the wage and employment practices of Amazon and its owner, Jeff Bezos. It has been my view that the middle class and working families of this country should not have to subsidize Mr. Bezos, the wealthiest person on earth, because the wages he has paid his employees are so low that many of them are forced to go on food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing and other governmental programs. Today, I want to give credit where credit is due. And I want to congratulate Mr. Bezos for doing exactly the right thing. Today, he has raised the minimum wage at Amazon and Whole Food effective next month. He has raised that minimum wage to $15 an hour, and that applies not only to full-time workers at Amazon, but to part-time workers and temporary workers as well. Further, Mr. Bezos has indicated his support for raising the national minimum wage. And as someone who has introduced a $15 an hour federal minimum wage, I very much look forward to working with him in this area. Let me take this opportunity to thank the many hundreds of Amazon workers who contacted our office talking about the wages and working conditions that they were employed under. And we also want to take this opportunity to thank the heroes and heroines at the Fight for 15 movement, a movement which started off in the fast food industry a number of years ago, but is sweeping the country. I thank them very much for all that they do. What Mr. Bezos today has done is not only enormously important for Amazon's hundreds of thousands of employees, it could well be, and I think it will be, a shot heard around the world. Mr. Bezos and Amazon are now leading the way, but there is absolutely now no reason why other profitable corporations like Walmart, like the fast food industry, like retail in general, and other employees, no reason now why they also should not be paying their employees at least $15 an hour. Bottom line is that in the richest country in the history of the world, we are seeing massive levels of income and wealth inequality. That in this country, our standard should be that if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. So once again, I congratulate Mr. Bezos on his decision, and I hope very much that other corporate leaders around the country will follow his example. Thank you all.
So this is just crazy. I don't think Bernie expected this either. Now, let me get to Jeff Bezos' response on Twitter to Bernie Sanders. So he tweeted out, "Thank you, Senator Sanders. We're excited about this and also hope others will join in." So, I mean, just a month ago, Jeff Bezos and Amazon were defending themselves against the attacks from Bernie Sanders. And now here they are thanking him. This world's crazy sometimes, and sometimes the crazy ends up in the good direction and not just the bad direction. Now, what I also find funny about this was how the mainstream press was treating Bernie Sanders before this announcement. So just to give you one example, here's a Bloomberg opinion headline from a few weeks ago. "Bernie Sanders picks the wrong kind of fight with Amazon. The senator seems more focused on embarrassing the online giant than helping its workers." Yeah, that story did not age well. So this is typical for mainstream press to attack Bernie Sanders, but I hope there are some people waking up today and realizing that Bernie Sanders has a real positive impact on the lives of many Americans. Now, let me address the cynicism. So yes, this raising of the wages is, of course, a positive piece of news, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. It's a great piece of news. But this also doesn't take over for the fact that there is still a long way to go. So Amazon workers still don't have a union. Is $15 an hour going to be good enough in 5 years, in 10 years? Likely not. So while this is a great move by Amazon, it's also strategic in the way that they know this will push criticism that they would expect to have or continue to have away for now. So the criticism that they've been facing, they're not going to hear for at least a few years. But you have to understand that as long as they don't allow their workers to unionize, there's going to continue to be issues, especially with workplace conditions. So this from Motherboard. At every step, Amazon has crushed internal unionization efforts through a variety of means, including hiring a high-powered law firm to fight employees' organizing efforts in 2014. Since 2000, as the New York Times reported at the time, Amazon has advised its managers to undertake heavy-handed anti-union activity in the workplace. Last week, Gizmodo reported that Amazon distributed a 45-minute training video on how to stop unionizing efforts to Whole Foods managers. The video instructed managers to be alert for subversive phrases like living wage and advised them that saying things like unions are lying, cheating rats is within their legal rights. So, Amazon, despite this great move to $15 an hour, has continued to push anti-unionization efforts on their managers. I mean, coming out and directly saying that it's okay to say that unions are lying, cheating rats, encouraging that sort of language from their managers, it's obvious that Amazon is still fully aware that they really don't want unions having any power under their corporate structure. So this is something to continue to be aware of. But at the same time, I don't want to shoot this news in the foot. This is still fantastic news, and Bernie Sanders was a massive part of making this happen. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below and consider becoming a patron at therationalnational.com/join. You get some extra content, but also, most importantly, you help support me in continuing to produce these sorts of videos.